It is Friday? Wait, oh my goodness. Listen, it is Jared Walker here, and welcome to another supersonic morning momentum. Oh man, look, if you are watching this, then you are live, fam. And I don't know why people don't like to be reminded of the truth sometimes. Like you're alive. And not only are you alive, but if you are alive, you got breath in your lungs. You got life in your body. Fam, you still here. And not only are you still here, but there are things that you've gone through this week. It's Friday and the week ain't even over yet. It's like, man, you've experienced so much and you have so much behind you, but I believe you have just as much in front of you. And the question is, what are you going to do with all of that? Because as I always say, whether you woke up on purpose or not, you still woke up with purpose attached to your life. I would say it's assigned to your life. And look, I got a little pivot on that. Whether you woke up on purpose or not, you still woke up with purpose attached to your voice. You got to unmute yourself. This is the day that you will unmute yourself. Today is the day that you will take everything that you have experienced all week long, all last week, all last month, all last year, and you will put it into actual purpose because it has purpose, but you got to use it. Many of us walk around with all these gems. We walk around with all of this value and we do nothing with it. And the reason we do nothing with it is because we don't see it as valuable. We don't see it as something that's worth going back to. We see it as something that's worth being dismissed. But fam, what if I told you that once upon a time, that used to be so many people that actually changed history? Their story is what we refer back to when it comes to God's glory. But had they not unmuted themselves, you wouldn't even be where you're at right now. The same people who produced hope in the past has provided you with power in the present. Because had they not unmuted themselves, opportunities would not have been afforded. Well, who might you be able to speak to today to provide the perspective that they need, that they're waiting for, that they are actually anticipating? Whose joy in the morning can you possibly provide and produce? All by simply opening up your mouth and sharing your fruit, the results of your past. The actual full results understood in time is what fruit stands for. That right there is what you got. You got fruit this week and the day ain't even, it's barely got started. You know, the day ain't even over. The week isn't even over. And here you are with the ability to be fruitful. Like what? Oh man, you talking about value. So people who are value able to be of value, able to be of use. Oh my goodness. I almost sneezed. But those type of people are your type of people because you one of them. You are valuable. Now the question is, what makes you valuable? The number one thing that makes someone valuable is their story. Your story is what produces glory. When people look back at your story, listen, story means history, by the way, if you didn't know. The actual etymology of story actually goes to history, and history etymology goes back to story. Story precedes history. So yes, you all have a story. We all have a story. Your story is your history. And if you're alive today, then you've got things from yesterday and before to actually refer back to and reflect on. That's your story. So the actual context of the story is what needs to be understood, though. The context of your story is what plays a role in how people perceive and receive you. See, the context of your story is exactly what it is that causes people to actually feel like, oh my goodness, I can do this. I can move forward. I can do that. Or cause people to say, sheesh, well, I don't want that for me. What part of your story are you willing to unmute though? Because if you unmute your story, then what you are doing is you are providing the perspective. Now, what aspect of the perspective do you want to produce? You're already fruitful. You're already fruitful. You're already useful. What's preventing you from moving forward with more fruit? What's preventing you from actually being fruitful and multiplying? What's preventing you from taking your actual voice, your actual story, and taking it to the next level? Look, everybody has the value that they have inside of them. It don't change the fact that not everybody's aware of it. So because you have value inside of you that needs to be pulled out, it needs to be cultivated. Okay, what about everybody else? Many of us get caught up on the fact that, man, it just seems like when I do something for other people, it's so much easier. It's like it's easier for me to see everybody else's stuff and help them, but it's hard for me to see mine. It's hard for me to do something with mine the way that I want to. Uh-huh. That same logic goes for everybody else that you need to unmute yourself for. That same logic applies to everyone that you will come into contact with on this day because you can see their stuff a whole lot more clearly. Well, guess what? If you unmute yourself, they might be able to see your stuff a whole lot more clearly than they can see their own stuff. See what happens when you unmute? When you open up your mouth and actually share that which is important inside of you, then you give the fruit that's useful to somebody else, and it might cause them to go from being foolish to being wise, all because they found out that you had a story that was useful. Man, if you understand what I'm telling you right now, I dare you. I dare you to go out today and get so intentional about every step that you take that it causes an actual ripple effect in every room that you enter into, every call that you enter into, every store that you enter into, every opportunity that you come into contact with somebody else on. I dare you to actually be so intentional about what words come out of your mouth. I dare you to be so intentional about unmuting yourself. I dare you to look at your week and reflect on it and see just how much of an impact you have actually left on the lives of the many that you have come into contact with. And if you would like to know that, this is one way you can unmute yourself. One way you can unmute yourself is by picking up your phone and reaching out to somebody that you've contacted this week at some point and checking up on them. Ask them how they doing. See what's up and see if there was anything that you have done or could do to add value to the rest of their day. And if they tell you nothing, like, I don't know, you have done nothing for me, then I highly doubt that. But then there's your opportunity to do something for them. Sometimes people just need to know that you actually care about them. And it's not about you caring, it's about knowing that somebody cares. Many people walk around here not feeling valued, not feeling as if they're important to anybody. There are many people who walk around here unaware of the value that is inside of them. And that's why I get up and I do this now. Like these supersonic morning momentums are not only to get you in momentum, but also to get me in momentum. Y'all hear the variations in my voice. Look, I know my voice is definitely a gift. However, I promise you, it ain't this deep all day. But it's early. We got to get early going. This is how you build that momentum by doing it right first thing in the morning. So we go ahead and we get our mind right. Make your mind up before you make your bed up. And now we're able to move forward with a certain level of intensity because of the intentionality that's attached to it. And I get up and I get my Bible, I read it. And I see the value that's in there and I say, ooh, this is so good. I eat good, I think good, and I breathe better because now I'm breathing every letter. Because everything that is in here that's useful to me is so fruitful that it's causing me to be useful and fruitful to everybody else that I come into contact with. You see how they go full circle? All I'm doing is getting motivated by the facts of the matter, and then you turn around and come into my presence, and then you get to get this work. You get this work. Why? Because I genuinely believe that we are supposed to encourage one another every day, as long as it is called today. And if I don't value you, then I am not valuing myself. See, it's funny because there's this word that people have been hearing for so long, and that is love. And it's funny because when we talk about love and we talk about the golden rule, doing to others as you would have them do unto you, and then you even hear the Confucian version of it is do not do to anyone that you would not, what you would not want them to do to you. And it's just like, man, but here's the golden rule. Love your neighbor. That's what it comes down to. How do you do that? By loving yourself. But man, how do I love myself appropriately? How do I do that? Well, you love God first. My belief is that he loved you. And my belief is that he sent his son to die for you and me. And my belief is that if we believe in that God, then that means not only does that God love you, but you were created in that God's image. And if you were created in that God's image and you believe in that God, then all things work together for the good of those who love that God and are called according to his purpose or intention or his will. Well, wait a minute. When you look at purpose, will, and intention, you find out that those all come down to one word, and that is an idea. It's like, wait a minute, hold on. This is it's funny because an idea is the result of thinking. Well, if an idea is the result of thinking, that means that thinking is imagining, by the way. So that means the intentions and the purposes and the wills and the idea of someone is going to be the fruit of their imagination. But if I was created in that God's image, and all things work together for the good of those who love the Lord and are called according to his intention, his purpose, his will, his idea, that means not only am I created in his image, not only are you created in his image, but that also means that you are a God idea, which makes you a good idea. And if you are a good idea, you are the fruit of his imagination. You are created in his image and you are fruit of his imagination. That means that he foreknew you before the foundation of the earth. So all you have to do is take into consideration that mankind was not created on day one or day two or day three or day four or day five. So that means that if the foundation of the earth was established on day one, he foreknew you before the foundation of the earth. Therefore, you were not only a good idea and a God idea, but there was a purpose attached to your life before you were even aware that you could have an idea or anyone else does. Your purpose is now, and it is waiting for you to step into, because God ain't in time. He's not in time. He's outside of time. Therefore, if you know that, okay, well, if he foreknew me before the foundation of the earth, that means before day 6 came about when mankind was created, I already had purpose attached to my life and identity. Why? Because I was already a part of his imagination. How fruitful am I meant to be? How fruitful can I be? How much value can I produce? Ain't no such thing as a small idea in context of God. Therefore, if you have the ability to go out and do something with your voice, you are able to do something that is godly, because he used his words and voice to create all the stuff that you see. The materials, the essence of it all, it came from God speaking one time, and there he is. So it's like, man, what could I do with my voice to change and transform lives based off of the identity that is attached to me? What can you do today that's going to shake up the world, that's going to cause somebody to realize some things that they didn't think about, they hadn't considered? They don't see themselves that way, but you do. You see them that way, and they see you a certain type of way that you don't. And it's helpful. We got to be connected, but we got to be intentional. So when we talking about love, you talking about learning, you talking about to observe, you talking about the value, you talking about in everyone. So if LOVE, learning to observe the value in everyone, is what real love look like, this means if you learn and understand the facts that the person that you are viewing, whether you're in the mirror or in front of somebody else, is not only someone who has value attached to them, but it's been there. And sometimes they can't see it. Sometimes people can't see the value that is in them because they need you to point it out. They need you to make them aware of the value that's inside of them. We're not just talking about that, though. We're talking about the fact that God created you with the ability to be so useful and fruitful that he told you to go be fruitful and multiply. So it's like, hold on. So it is in my nature to be fruitful and multiply. Yes. We just talking about kids? No, we talking about the actual power that you have inside of you to take something and make it, create it. You're creative. You're created by a creator, which makes you somebody who's supposed to be creative as well. It's like, ooh. So if you are creative and you are a creator, you can go out and do things that other people need you to do for them. And what if that one thing they needed was for you to unmute yourself? What if all they needed was for you to speak the truth of what it is that you've been through, what it is that you've overcome, what it is that you outlasted, what it is that you have outlived, what it is that is actually going to show them that, oh my goodness, this is crazy. I thought I was the only one. Or, oh man, I'm so sorry to hear that. But hold on, don't be sorry, because I made it through. See, I never would have made it had I not been through it, because there are other things that I would not have been qualified to overcome had I not gone through those other things that I have to overcome first. The value that you have is like a diamond, and the pressure that it must go through in order to be produced and presented in a way that is beautiful, it ain't easy, nor is it pretty. Same with gold. You want to see how pure it is, you got to put it through a crucible. Well, how much have you gone through in your life? That's like a crucible. And it has gotten rid of all the dirt. All like we all got dirt. We all got dirt. We all have all types of things attached to our history, our story. But what if you were to take that dirt and you would actually just remove it? How much more clear would your actual identity be in front of others? How much more valuable would you be perceived in the eyes of others? Well, I'm here to tell you that guess what, fam? They don't know about your dirt. They only see your fruit. They only see your results. They don't know about your past. Stop being afraid of what happened and thinking that someone is going to see you a certain type of way just because of how you see you. Contrary to popular belief, how you see yourself is not the most important thing. That's a lie. How God sees you is the most important. If he sees you as valuable and he sees you as somebody that's worth dying for and he sees you as somebody that's able to be useful, you are somebody who can go and do things that are causing you and others to be fruitful, then that's what matters most. And if you still got life in your body, you got breath in your lungs, and you are still moving forward, then that means that the way you see you might actually be the biggest problem. But it's not the most important reality. The reality is God gave you the ability to move forward with purpose, on purpose, according to the purposes that were already placed inside of you, attached to your essence and identity before you exited your mother's womb. And that right there is why you got to get that momentum going. That right there is why you got to get moving in the right direction. That right there is why you got to be aware of the value that not only you have, but the value in others, so that they can remind you that what you've gone through was not in vain. There was a purpose to that pain. But in order for you to continue to grow, you must be intentional about what? Unmuting yourself. You can't get to the next level if you don't ever speak up. There are people waiting on you to open your mouth just so they can give you exactly what it is that God said is yours. But if you don't open up your mouth, they don't even know that they're supposed to give it to you. What if you're the person that's preventing somebody else from giving and getting rid of the burden that they have on them? There are some people who have so much value, but they don't see it as valuable. So they hold on to it and they don't want to know, they don't know what to do with it. So they keep quiet until the right person comes along. What if you are the right person that they've been waiting for to say, oh my goodness, here, this is for you. And then they give it to you. And now you have actually lightened a load. You've removed the burden from them. Now they're able to move forward with purpose and actually do so expeditiously in a more speedy manner. All because they gave you what you needed. Now that you have it, it ain't a burden for you. It's actually the thing that you have been waiting for. Hey, Jackie, it's the thing that you have been waiting for. You just didn't know that's what you were waiting for. And if the thing that you have been waiting for is on the other side of somebody else unmuting themselves, what could someone be waiting for from you to unmute yourself for? What burdens do you have right now that if you would just open up your mouth, you would relieve, release, and free so many people? It ain't that deep. It's just surface level truth. The depth is the why. But what you see at the surface level, what you see at the peak of the actual iceberg, the tip of the iceberg is only surface level. Well, what if your surface level was the depth that somebody else needed to see was true? What have you gone through that it could add value to somebody else? Listen, we got to stop playing small. I'm just going to say it. Stop hiding. Stop hiding your voice and stop hiding your scars. Because the moment I began to show my scars to others, that's when people started realizing their wounds could be healed. It wasn't until I started opening up my mouth. See, I'm going to put something out today. And you're going to see exactly what it is that caused Jared to be this way. Jared is not perfect, of course not. But did you know that Jared is sick? Did you know Jared got diagnosed with multiple sclerosis last year? Did you know that Jared got misdiagnosed in 2023? Did you know that Jared has not been able to work physically for his family in the job that he was at for 16 years? He can't go back to? Did you know that Jared has moved into entrepreneurship? Did you know that Jared has opened up his mouth, unleashed his voice, unmuted his voice, started helping other people, and now Jared realized because God gave him the ability to use his mouth and his mind to make his money, he's changing and transforming lives just by speaking? What? I lost so much, but God elevated me and put me in a position to where I was supposed to be. See, sometimes you got to go down before you can go up. Matter of fact, you always have to go down before you go up. You got to decrease before you can increase. And the thing that you go down and deep into is the actual seed that is inside of you. That seed is going to produce. You are the caterpillar. You are the one that is in the chrysalis. You are in the cocoon. And when you emerge, guess what? You are the butterfly that is not only meant to be free, but that's meant to free so many other people. And who are you waiting on to do what you've already been commissioned to do? You don't need permission. You don't need permission to open up your mouth and unmute yourself. What you need permission to do is nothing. Who gave you permission to live? God did. Who gave you permission to unmute yourself? God did. Who gave you the power to actually change and transform lives? God did. Who told you that you can't do this? You did, or somebody else. But I promise you, the very gifts that you have inside of you right now are waiting to be opened. There's no point in having a present if you're not going to open the gift. And you have gifts that need to be distributed because they don't belong to you. Uh-huh. Yeah, I said that. You have gifts that you need to distribute because they do not belong to you. You didn't see them as gifts originally. You saw them as burdens. You saw them as pain. You saw them as traumas. You saw them as things that were weighing you down. But what about the moments you unmute yourself and tell people about that part, about those burdens? They look at you as if, oh my goodness, I finally found somebody who gets it. I finally found somebody who understands. And you looking at them like, why are you looking at me that way? And it's because of what you just did for them. See, you just gave them one of your gifts. Sometimes your experiences, your perspective is the greatest gift that you have to offer in a moment. Because that's exactly what somebody needs. And if you are withholding what you have to offer when it comes to what you've experienced, you are also keeping someone else chained to the lies that somebody else told them or they've been telling themselves. See, the truth is what they need. The truth sets you free. Therefore, a lie sets you up. And if they need to be freed, sometimes it's because it is only your truth that can actually prevent them from holding fast to the lies that were always deception, were never true. And if you understand that part, if you understand that the value that somebody needs is inside of you, then you should be expeditious, quick to give it cheerfully. Give it with, I'm talking about all excitement. Like, yes, I finally get to get rid of this thing. I finally get to unmute myself so that I can empower and unmute somebody else. Look, I think oh my goodness, I got comments in here and everything. I got into the moment. But this is that supersonic morning momentum. Everybody needs that momentum. They need that encouragement. And if you get exactly what you need from me, that's because I showed up to do what I was supposed to do. What you gonna do today? You gonna unmute yourself? Who are you gonna actually talk to today that can add value and fire up under them? What are you going to talk about today? What are you intentionally going to do today? As a matter of fact, so next Saturday I got this virtual event called Monetize Your Voice. If any of you resonate with this message right here, you're like, listen, I definitely would like to know more about that. Because in there is where we talk about the very things that I'm talking about right here. It's how you take your message and you monetize it. You take your story and you take authority. You literally take control and reclaim the authority of your God-given story. You need to do that. So therefore, you deserve to get paid for what you've experienced as well because somebody else is already doing it. Somebody else is monetizing your voice. Oh, you didn't know that? Somebody else is already being compensated for what it is that you created. Oh, you didn't know that, did you? Uh, well, we're going to talk about it. And if that's something that you would be interested in, DM me or you know, put me in the actual comments and I'll be sure to get that information to you. It's free, by the way. It ain't nothing deep. It's only going to be 1 hour. But at the end of the day, I want to make sure that I help people to not only unmute their voice, but to reclaim ownership of in the authority of their God-given story, as well as monetize their message. Because your message needs to be heard and it needs to be understood. Therefore, those who need to hear it will willingly not only compensate you, but say thank you because you changed their life by giving them awareness to the purpose that's been attached to theirs. Look, I love y'all. I got to get up off of this thing and go get busy. Y'all take care, and I'll see y'all mañana. Much love.